Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for December 29, 2022, the How Big Tech Got It Wrong edition. And we begin with that story from the always great Brooke Masters, writing in the op-ed pages of the Financial Times. And she lists 3 ways that big tech has gotten it wrong. Number 1, speed rather than perfection was the key. Number 2, the most important challenges of our time, health care, cutting carbon emissions, and sustainability will require a different approach. And the third mistake is that thinking that growth and customers, which came during the pandemic, would be sustained. So it's a great read and, as always, highly provocative. Next up from Reuters, Novartis will pay $245 million to end an antitrust case over its drug X-Forge. Settlement with direct purchasers and indirect purchasers and retailers approved by a federal judge in Manhattan will resolve all outstanding claims against the company over the matter. So Novartis pays up yet again. Also from Reuters, a Belgian court has denied bail to a key suspect in the EU-Qatar corruption scandal. Nicolo Figa Talamanca was denied bail as a flight risk, and while the suspect has certainly denied any wrongdoing, the scandal is broadening, and once again, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this will play out, particularly with Qatar indicating it may retaliate against the EU for investigating allegations of corruption. And finally, from the Wall Street Journal, Risk and Compliance Journal, Richard Vandefort reporting that the U.S. Customs and Border Protection has barred imports from 3 companies, including a supplier to Western apparel companies, that the agency says could, and I repeat, could be using North Korean forced labor. As part of a broad crackdown on goods with forced labor, Customs said it was using a 2017 law which imposed sanctions on North Korea to detain imports from 3 companies, Jingding Trading, Rixon Foods, and Zhongjing's Sunrise Garment Companies, saying it found indications all 3 were using North Korean workers, which under U.S. law are assumed to be forced labor unless proven otherwise. And once again, these actions by Customs and Border have really shown a spotlight on how companies need to proactively be ready to demonstrate that their products do not have any forced labor components to them.
The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.